Professor Ron McNich, who's been following this very closely for the last several months now. So were there any surprises in this election and in the results that you saw?
Well, there are no surprises at all in the Prop A election. I think that's well within the ranges we expected. There's not a lot of surprises in the legislative races, but one key thing about the legislative races, and I want to let all the supporters know, the exit poll was done in the midday, so it might change a little bit, especially in some of the lower ranks, and you might end up seeing someone like Senator Shimizu or maybe Tello Taigui jump up. And so that's certainly something that may come. Matt Rector made it. He showed up very early a couple of weeks ago, I think at number 5 in our poll, and then he dropped down a little bit, but now he's at 15. We'll see if it stays, and it'll be an interesting night, I think. Now,
in the last several weeks, you were doing daily polls.
Right.
Were there any that were pushed out of this final poll from the last couple of weeks that you've seen?
Well, what our daily showed us was this was a very active campaign, especially in the legislature. Lots of give and take. Some people would be up one day and down another. And then I guess, as everyone knows, the Prop A folks entered a kind of crossover dynamic last Friday when they went into a kind of, a phase that I haven't seen them go into before. And that affected the legislative race somewhat also.
Now, you're talking specifically about the issue between John Baldwin and Governor Carl Gutierrez. Now, how would that play out in the legislative race, though?
What it does is it puts a partisan leadership kind of angle on the race that the race didn't have before, because a lot of Democrats support Governor Gutierrez. And when you attack or criticize a former governor like that who's also a partisan political leader, you end up creating a kind of a set of dynamics that played out over the last weekend. And that's in effect what happened.
Now, you've done polls like this many times in past elections. How close do you think it's going to be to the final results?
I think we'll hit maybe 12 or 13 out of the 15. There's no telling. Someone who's at 21 might pop up, who knows? But in general, these polls have been pretty consistent. I wouldn't worry also so much about the ranking if somebody's first, second, third in the exit poll. They will probably finish in the range of 3 or 4 places in the exit poll overall.
Now, let's give some credit to where credit's due. Who was behind putting this poll together?
My students do all of the work, and I did a little of the work today. I did a couple of the sites because I like to keep in touch with the sites. So I did the UOG site and the Barrigada site. But my students, in fact a small team of students this time, like 7 students, really did the bulk of this work, and in fact they planned it and they executed it.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, and we thank you for